Be doing reproductive health, chapter 3 of biology, class 12 revision. Now we have already learned reproduction, human reproduction last chapter, second chapter. So this will be a revision of third chapter, reproductive health. Basically the topics here are reproductive health, problems and strategies, population explosion and birth control, medical termination of pregnancy, or in other words, abortion, sexually transmitted diseases, and infertility a problem. The NCERT are giving an introduction here. You have learned about human reproduction system and its function in chapter 2. Now let's discuss a closely related topic, reproductive health. What do you understand by this term? What do you understand by reproductive health? Reproductive health, when reproduction is done to continuation of the generation and produce more offspring. Reproductive health meaning having healthy reproduction. What do you understand by this term? That is what you should understand. This term simply refers to healthy reproductive organs with normal functions. However, it has a broader perspective and includes emotional and social aspects of reproduction as well. According to the World Health Organization, WHO, reproductive health means a total well-being in all aspects of reproduction, that is physical, emotional, behavioral, and social. Therefore, a society with people having physically and functionally normal reproductive organs and normal emotional and behavior interaction among them in all sex-related aspects might be called reproductively healthy. Why is it significant to maintain reproductive health, and what are methods taken up to achieve it? They are giving an explanation of how they do it. Reproductive health, problems and strategies. India was among the first countries in the world to initiate action and programs at national level to attain total reproductive health as a social goal. One of the main problems in India is the high population, with now being the most populated country in the world, due to which there is high competition for resources and basic necessities. Now let's continue. India was amongst the first countries in the world to initiate action plans and programs at a national level to attain total reproductive health as a social goal. As I said before, India is the most populated country in the world, and to achieve reproductive health here, many programs were established. Let's continue reading. These programs, called family planning, were initiated in 1951 and were periodically assessed over the past decades. Improved programs covering wider reproduction related areas are currently in operation under the popular name Reproductive Health, Reproductive and Child Healthcare (RCH) programs, creating awareness among people about various reproduction related aspects and providing facilities and support for building up a reproductively healthy society are the major tasks under these programs. So basically, in the 1951, family planning programs were started to keep all the citizens of India reproductively healthy. Under this criteria comes the Reproductive and Child Healthcare Program, which is the RCH program. The main aims are creating awareness among people about various reproductive related aspects and providing facilities and support for building a reproductively healthy society for the major tasks under these programs. The main aim is to provide facilities and support for building a reproductively healthy society. One of the programs under the family planning program initiated during 1951 is the RCH, Reproductive and Child Healthcare Program. With the help of how they are spreading this awareness is with the help of audio, visual and the print media. Governmental and non-governmental agencies have taken various steps to create awareness among the people about reproduction related aspects. They created awareness using help of audio, visuals and the print media with government agencies as well as private sector agencies. What steps and how? Let's continue reading. Parents, other close relatives, teachers and friends also have a major role in the dissemination of the above information, meaning everyone has a role to spread the awareness, like not only the government agencies, even everyone including the friends, parents, teachers in school, everyone should help in spreading this awareness and disproving various myths related reproduction. Introduction of sex education. As we see during the 8th standard and the 10th standard, we see that there is a chapter of the reproduction, human reproduction in the science textbook, which is just for this reason, to spreading awareness. In schools should also be encouraged to provide right information to the young so as to discourage children from believing in myths and having misconceptions about sex related aspects. Proper information about reproductive organs, adolescence and related changes, safe and hygienic sexual practices, sexually transmitted diseases, AIDS, etc. would help people, especially those in the adolescent age group, to lead a reproductively healthy life. Educating people, especially fertile couples and those in marriageable age group, about available birth control options, care of pregnant mothers, postnatal care of mothers and child, importance of breastfeeding, equal opportunities for the male and the female child, etc. What they're saying is, as India needs to control the high population, it is educating people about having less children. As we see many schemes, as we will see in them as we continue through the chapter. And if we want to educate people, which age group should we educate? We don't need to educate children, right? They still have time. We need to educate especially fertile couples and those in the marriageable age group. The people who will produce children should be educated first and foremost about available birth control options and care of pregnant mothers, as pregnancy is a stage of 9 months and it should be cared for. Otherwise there might be many problems, both to the child and the mother. Postnatal care, meaning after birth care of the mother. After the childbirth, the child and the mother are in a special state where extra care is needed. Importance of breastfeeding. As you know, after the birth period, the first milk is yellow colored and is called colostrum. It is rich in IgA antibodies, immunoglobulin antibodies, which help increase the immunity of the child, as it is very important for the child's breastfeeding during the initial stages after birth due to the production of colostrum. and there should equal opportunities male and female, meaning there should be no discrimination between the male and the female child. The importance of bringing up socially conscious healthy families of desired size, awareness of problems due to uncontrolled population growth, social evils like abuse and sex related crimes, etc., need to be created to enable for people to think and take up necessary steps to prevent them and thereby build a socially responsible and healthy life. For the future, we need to plan right now. Successful implementation of various action plans to attain reproductive health requires strong infrastructural facilities, professional expertise, and material support. Many should support. If the government needs to implement these various plans, many need to support. That's various example. These essential to provide medical assistance and care to people in reproduction related problems like pregnancy, delivery, sexually transmitted diseases, STDs, abortions, medical termination of pregnancy, contraception, menstrual problems, infertility, etc. Implementation of better techniques and new strategies from time to time are also required to provide more efficient care and assistance to people. Statutory ban on amniocentesis for sex determination to legally check increasing meanness for female feticide, massive child immunization, etc. These are some programs don't mind. The unequal highlighting. These are programs of reproduction related. Many people will face problems during pregnancy, delivery, STDs, abortions, contraception, menstrual problems, infertility, etc. Implementation for these problems, we need solutions. So for the solutions, the government plans to implement of better techniques and new strategies from time to time, also required to provide more efficient care and assistance to the people facing these problems. The statutory ban on amniocentesis we will study later in this chapter itself. Sex determination to legally check increasing menace of female feticides, massive child immunization, etc. As I said, the child after birth will be extremely in a special state where he needs immunity or she needs immunity. Are some programs that merit mention in this connection. In amniocentesis, some of the amniotic fluid of the developing fetus is taken to analyze the fetal cells and dissolved substances. This procedure is used to test for presence of certain genetic disorders such as Down syndrome, hemophilia, sickle cell anemia, etc. In amniocentesis is a process where during the pregnancy period, the doctors will take some of the amniotic fluid from the womb to analyze it for checking if the fetus or the baby has any kind of genetic disorders such as the sickle cell anemia, hemophilia, Down syndrome, which may be not good for the child, to check them, and of course along with the sex determination, but which is banned in India. They gave here statutory ban of amniocentesis because of the female feticides in India. Determine the survivability of if the fetus is in a very bad condition and it is not able to survive, the person should opt for MTP as as a as it may lead to problems even for the mother as well. Research on various reproduction related areas are encouraged and supported by governmental and non-governmental agencies to find out new methods and to improve upon the existing ones. A Saheli pill, which is a contraceptive, oral contraceptive for females, was developed by scientists at Central Drug Research Institute CDRI in Lucknow, India. Better awareness about sex related matters, increased number of medically assisted deliveries and better postnatal care are leading to decreased maternal and infant mortality rates. Mortality rates is nothing but the death rates. If you care for if there is increased number of medically assisted deliveries and postnatal care, meaning after the birth of the child the care, there is high chance to decrease maternal mother's death rate as well as the infant's death rate. Increased number of couples with small families, better detection and cure of STDs, and overall increased medical facilities for all sex related problems. The government aims to establish increased medical facilities to solve various sex related problems, etc. All indicated improve reproductive health in society. Population stabilization and birth control. In the last century, an all-round development in various fields significantly improved the quality of the life of the people. However, increased health facilities along with better living conditions had an explosive impact on the growth of population. We see that after independence period there was a various high development of the India, and which caused people to have a rise in living standard. So if the people are very comfortable, what they will do, they will reproducing. The world population, which was around 2 billion in 1900, rocketed to increased to 6 billion by 2000, an increase of 4 billion people for 100 years or a century, and 1.2 billion increase only for 10 years from 2000 to 2011. A similar trend was observed in India too. Our Indian population, which was approximately 350 million at the time of our independence during 1947, reached close to billion mark. 1 billion means it almost thrice, 3 times. By the time of 2000 and crossed 1.2 billion in May 2011. This increase in the population is mainly caused due to a rapid decline in the death rate, because people, as India developed and medical facilities developed, everything developed, people had less death rate. Maternal mortality, because of all the facilities here, maternal mortality and infant mortality rate also reduced very much, as well as an increase in the number of people in the reproducible age are probable reasons for this. Increase in the number of people in the reproducible age. Through our reproductive child healthcare program, which we said was one of the programs under the family planning programs established or initiated in 1951. Through our reproductive child healthcare program, though we could bring down the population growth rate, It was only marginal according to the 2011 census report. They are saying that even though through the child care program and spreading awareness, the the population growth rate was only reduced little much. Only marginal meaning little. According to the 2011 census report, the population growth rate was less than 2%, that is 20 per thousand per year, a rate at which our population could increase rapidly. Such an alarming growth rate could lead to an absolute scarcity for even basic requirements, that is food, shelter, clothing, in spite of significant progress made in those areas. As the humans continue to develop more facilities, more things, and more developments, more research, we get more food and more basic necessities. But if the people continue to grow, even the population continues to grow, there will be always a competition for these resources. Even the most basic requirements will be competed for. Therefore, the government was forced to take, because to avoid such a situation where even the country could not provide basic requirements, to avoid that kind of situation due to high population, the government was forced to take up serious measures to check this population growth rate. The most important step to overcome this problem is to motivate smaller families by using various contraceptive methods. Smaller families, if the people have smaller, like less number of children, then the overall population growth will continue to reduce. That is, the government planned to use various contraceptive methods. You might have seen advertisements in media as well as posters, bills, etc., showing a happy couple with 2 children with a slogan, Hum do hamare do, we too and our too. Many couples, mostly the young, urban, working ones, have even adopted a one-child norm. Statutory raising of marriageable age of the female to 18 years and that of males to 21 years. The marriageable age for males is 21 years and females is 18 years. And incentives given to couples with small families are two of the other measures taken to tackle these problems. Let us describe some of the commonly used contraceptive methods which help prevent unwanted pregnancies. Important point is an ideal contraceptive. Then ideal contraceptive, first point, should be user friendly, should be easily available, should be effective, should have a high rate of avoiding pregnancy, should be reversible if the couple want to again have a child, or the woman wants to be pregnant, the couple wants to produce offspring, then it should be reversible, should not be a one-time thing or a permanent effect of prevention. That is the third point. There should be no or less number of side effects. It also should in no way interfere with the sexual drive, desire, and or the sexual act of the user. A wide range of contraceptive methods are presently available, which could be broadly grouped into the categories, namely natural or traditional, barrier, interuterine devices, IUDs, oral contraceptives, injectables, skin implants, or the permanent surgical method. Natural method work on the principle of avoiding chances of ovum and sperm meeting, which is the first natural method, is periodic abstinence. One such method in which the couples avoid or abstain from coitus from day 10 to 17. This day 10 to 17, if you remember from chapter 2, is after the ovulation, during the ovulatory phase, where the ovum is released from the ovary. So if there is no copulation during this period, there is a less chance of the sperm meeting the ovum and leading to pregnancy. As this is not a 100% effective method, as many individuals have different kinds of menstrual cycles, and it will vary very much. But this natural method of periodic abstinence is 100% safe and there are no side effects. So basically, avoid coitus from day 10 to 17, which is the fertile period or the ovulatory phase of the menstrual cycle, when ovulation could be expected, as chances of fertilization are very high during this period. It is called the fertile period. Therefore, and in reverse process, if the couple wants pregnancy, then coitus during these days has a very high chance of fertilization during this period. That is why it's called the fertile period. Therefore, by abstaining from coitus during this period, conception could be prevented. The second method in the natural methods is withdrawal or coitus interruptus, is another method which has zero side effects, in which the male partner withdraws his penis from the vagina just before ejaculation so as to avoid insemination. Even though this method has less no side effects, but there is a high chance of pregnancy during this. With this method, the prevention is very bad, so it can be said that this method is the least effective for contraception. The third method under the natural methods of natural contraceptive, the first one being periodic abstinence, second one being coitus interruptus, and the third one is lactational amenorrhea, absence of menstruation. Method is based on the fact that ovulation and therefore the cycle do not occur during this period of the immense lactation following the parturition. Therefore, as long as a mother breastfeeds the child fully, chances of conception are almost nil. This lactational amenorrhea contraceptive method is just after childbirth. The mother's menstrual cycles for approximately 3 to 6 months will be stopped, and if there is no menstruation, chances for pregnancy is zero. However, this method has been reported to be effective only up to maximum period of 6 months following parturition. As no medicines or devices are used in the above three methods, side effects are almost nil. Chances of failure, though, of these methods are also high. And the second category of the contraceptive come in the barrier methods. Barrier method, ovum and sperm are prevented from physically meeting with the help of barriers. Such methods are often used the most popular method is the barrier method. Such methods are available for males and females through condoms. This is a male condom and this is a female one. These condoms are barriers made of thin rubber latex sheath that are used to cover the penis in the male or vagina and cervix in the female. Cervix is the entry point or into the uterus, So vagina and cervix are covered. The sperm cannot enter into the ampullary region where the actual fertilization takes place. The sperm cannot even enter into the uterus just before coitus, so that ejaculated sperm semen would not enter into the female reproductive tract. This can prevent conception. The nationally used condom is called Nirod. Is a popular brand of common condoms for the male. Use of condoms has increased in recent years due to its additional benefit of protecting user from contracting STIs and AIDS. Sexually transmitted diseases and AIDS can be prevented through the use of condoms. Both the male and the female condoms are disposable, can be self-inserted and thereby gives privacy to the user. The second part of the barrier method is the diaphragms, cervical caps and vaults. They also act in the same mechanism as the condoms but are in some ways reusable, made of rubber that are inserted into the female reproductive organ tract to cover the cervix during coitus. They prevent conception by blocking the entry of sperms through the cervix. They are reusable. The third category under contraceptive methods, not coming under the barrier methods, is the spermicidal creams, which directly killing the sperm. If the sperm is killed, there is no chance of meeting with the ovum. Spermicidal creams, jellies and foams are used along with these barriers to increase their contraceptive efficiency. If 2 or 3 types of these barrier methods are used, the chance will even reduce even more. Applying spermicidal creams to these diaphragm cervical caps will reduce the chance of pregnancy even more, or failure of contraception even more. Another effective, the fourth category under the contraceptive methods, popular method is to use intrauterine devices. The NCERT mentioned that it's a popular method, so remember it. The use of intrauterine devices, IUDs. These devices are inserted by doctors or expert nurses into the uterus through the vagina. These intrauterine devices are presently available as non-medicated IUVs. Example, Lippy's loop, copper releasing IUDs, CUT, CU7, multilode 337, and the hormone releasing IUDs, Progestrat, LNG20, etc. So the IUDs are mainly divided into 3 categories of the non-medicated IUDs, copper releasing IUDs and the hormone releasing IUDs. Examples should be remembered of the non-medicated IUDs being the Lippy's loop, copper releasing IUDs being the CU copper T, copper 7, multilode 375 and the hormone releasing IUDs of Progestrat LNG20. This is a figure of copper T. IUDs increase phagocytosis of sperms within the uterus, and the copper release suppress sperm motility and the fertilizing capacity of sperm. The sperm will be consumed in the uterus. They will increase the phagocytosis. Phagocytosis meaning consumption or engulfment of the sperm will increase within the uterus, and copper releasing IUDs will act in a way to suppress the sperm motility and the fertilizing capacity of the sperm. The hormone releasing IUDs in addition make the uterus unsuitable for implantation and cervix hostile to sperm. IUDs are ideal contraceptive for females who want to delay pregnancy or space children. It is one of the most widely accepted methods of contraception in India. The fifth category under the contraceptive methods is the oral administration of small doses of either progesterone or progesterone estrogen combinations is another contraceptive method used for female. They are used in form of tablets and hence popularly called the pills, the birth control pills. Pills have to be taken daily for a period of 21 days, starting preferably first 5 days of the menstrual cycle. After a gap of 7 days during which menstruation happens, it has to be repeated in the same pattern till the female desires to prevent conception. They inhibit ovulation and implantation as well as alter quality of cervical mucus to prevent retard entry of sperms. Oral administration, let me explain. Oral administration of small doses of either progesterone or progesterone estrogen combinations. Tablets containing either progesterone or progesterone estrogen combinations are taken orally. How they work is they're taken in the form, that is what they're giving. They're used in the form of tablets, which are often called as birth control pills or pills. These pills should be taken to a period of 21 days. The first pill should be taken first 5 days of the menstrual cycle. The starting first 5 days preferably should be, they should take the woman should take the pill during the first 5 days of the menstrual cycle, and after menstruation occurs with a 7-day gap should take the pill again. Meaning during the menstrual cycle is from 1 to 28 days generally, and during the 5 to after 5 to some days the menstruation actually happens, the menstrual bleeding. Bleeding happens after the first 5 days. So basically this is the menstrual cycle. Preferably the woman should take the tablet during the first 5 days, initial 5 days, and after which with a 7-day gap where menstrual bleeding occurs, after those 7 days should again continue for the remaining days of the menstrual cycle. After a gap of 7 days during which menstruation occurs, it has to be repeated in the same pattern until the woman desires pregnancy. If after some time the woman has been using the contraceptive, this is the oral contraceptive of the pills, and after some time she wants pregnancy, then she should stop using the pills. How the pills work is they inhibit ovulation and implantation as well, alter the quality of the cervical mucus to prevent retard entry of sperms. The cervical mucus will be increased and prevent entry of sperms into the uterus. Pills are very effective. Pills are seen to be very effective with lesser side effects and are well accepted by the females. Saheli, the new oral contraceptive for the females, contains a non-steroidal preparation. It is what we call a once a week pill with a very few side effects and high contraceptive value. The Saheli pill, the normal pills are taken every day, but the Saheli pill, being a non-steroidal pill, discovered in India, Lucknow. is a non-steroidal pill for females, contains a non-steroidal preparation. It is what we call a once in a week pill. Progesterones alone or in combination with estrogen can be used by females as injections or implants under the skin. These are the implants which will be implanted under the skin, or directly taking it as injections, which is another method or category under the contraceptive methods. Their mode of action, these injections or the implants work similar, which is they inhibit ovulation, implantation, as well as alter the quality of the cervical mucus to prevent entry of sperm. This is how pills work, along with injections or implants also work in the same way. Progesterones alone or combination of estrogens is what is contained in this implants or injections. Their mode of action is similar to the pills. The effective periods are much longer, but like the pills you should take every day or once in a week, but these implants or injections have a longer effective periods. They don't need to be taken very daily. Administration of progesterone or progesterone estrogen combinations or IUDs, this is a immediate emergency contraception method, which is administration of usage of progesterone or progesterone estrogen combinations or IUDs within 72 hours of coitus have been found to be very effective as emergency contraceptive, as they could be used to avoid possible pregnancy due to rape or casual unprotected intercourse. This is what we call the emergency contraceptives, which is usage of this pills or the progesterone or progesterone estrogen combinations, this hormone combinations or intrauterine devices within 72 hours of the coitus have been found to be very effective as emergency contraceptives. They could be used to avoid possible pregnancy due to rape or casual unprotected intercourse. Surgical methods, this is the last category under the contraceptive methods. Surgical methods, which is also called sterilization, which is in the textbook the only method to completely be losing the ability to reproduce. That is why they mention the term sterilization. Unfertile, they will lose the ability to reproduce after the surgery. What happens in the surgery is the vas deferens or the fallopian tube are cut and tied. So in the male, the sperm cannot be transferred via the vas deferens because they are tied. In the female reproductive system, the fallopian tube is cut, so the ovum produced will not be taken to the uterus. They are generally advised for the male partner or female partner as a terminal method to prevent any more pregnancies. Surgical intervention blocks gamete transport and thereby prevent conception. Sterilization procedure in a male is called vasectomy, and that in female tubectomy. This is vasectomy, this is tubectomy. In the vasectomy, we are cutting the vas deferens. In the tubectomy, we are cutting the fallopian tube. In vasectomy, a small part of the vas deferens is removed or tied up through a small incision cut on the scrotum, whereas in tubectomy, a small part of the fallopian tube is removed or tied up through a small incision in the abdomen or through the vagina. In vasectomy, the incision or cut is done via the scrotum for the males, or in females, the fallopian tube is cut through a small incision either in the abdomen region or through the vagina. These techniques are highly effective. There is a very high chance to prevent conception, but their reversibility is poor. They cannot be reversed. It needs to be emphasized that the selection of a suitable contraceptive method, government incentive to reduce population, and its use should always be undertaken in consultation with the qualified medical professionals. One must also remember that contraceptives are not regular requirements for maintenance of the reproductive health. In fact, they are practiced against a natural reproductive event. Conception, pregnancy, one is forced to use these methods either to prevent pregnancy or to delay or space pregnancy due to personal reasons. We should know that whatever the contraceptives we learned are against the natural event, reproductive events, and it is not mandatory to use or maintain these contraceptive methods during every reproduction event. These contraceptives are mainly used either to prevent unwanted pregnancy or to space pregnancy due to personal reasons. No doubt, the widespread use of these methods have a significant role in checking the uncontrolled growth of the population in India. However, their possible ill effects like nausea, these are some of the ill effects or side effects possible: abdominal pain, nausea, abdominal pain, breakthrough bleeding, irregular menstrual bleeding, or even breast cancer. Although it is said that they are of very less chance, should not be totally ignored. Should not believe that these, especially the pills and other injections, which there is a chance that they might lead to these kinds of effects or symptoms of nausea, abdominal pain, breakthrough bleeding, irregular menstrual bleeding, or even breast cancer. Even though there is a less chance, if you are taking the contraceptive, you should not totally ignore the side effect. Now, medical termination of pregnancy, often referred to as abortion or MTP. Intentional or voluntary termination of pregnancy before term is called medical termination of pregnancy. Intentional or voluntary termination of pregnancy before full term is called medical termination of pregnancy or induced abortion. Nearly 45 to 50 million MTPs are performed in a year all over the world, which accounts to 1/5 of the total number of conceived pregnancy in a year. If 100 pregnancies are conceived in a year, 20 of them will MTP. Whether to accept legalize MTP or not is being debated upon in many countries due to emotional, ethical, religious, and social issues involved in it. Government of India legalized MTP in 1971 with some strict conditions to avoid its misuse. Such restrictions are all more important to check indiscriminate and illegal female feticides which are reported to be high in India. The amniocentesis, which was statutorily, which had a band, which was due to female feticides. Due to amniocentesis, telling the gender of the fetus, it was seen that Indian people preferring a male child committed female feticides through MTP. To avoid this, the India, even though it legalized MTP, it was with very strict conditions. For an MTP, if the MTP is during the first trimester, then the woman first trimester, then the woman should have one doctor's permission. If it is during the second trimester, two doctors should approve the medical termination of pregnancy, the abortion. If it is after the second trimester, after 6 months, during the 7th, 8th months, it is banned. Abortion after the 6th month is banned in India. Abortion can only, if it is the abortion during first trimester, one doctor should approve the abortion. But if it is during the second trimester, two doctors should approve the abortion. But if it is after the second trimester, during the third trimester, then MTP is banned. Why MTP? Obviously, the answer is to get rid of unwanted pregnancies. Either to casual, unprotected intercourse or failure of the contraceptive used during coitus or rapes. MTPs are also essential in certain cases where continuation of pregnancy could be harmful or even fatal to either the mother or the fetus or both. MTPs are considered relatively safe during the first trimester, that is up to 12 weeks or 3 months. Second trimester abortions are much riskier. One distributing trends over the majority of MTPs are performed illegally by unqualified quacks, which are not only unsafe but could be fatal too. Like it is observed that most of the MTPs, majority, are performed illegally by unqualified doctors or unqualified persons, which they are referred to as quacks here, which are not only unsafe, like if any other unqualified persons perform MTP, it is not only unsafe, but it could even lead to the death of either the fetus. No, it is not the fetus, it is the mother. Another dangerous trend is the misuse of amniocentesis to determine the sex of the unborn child. Frequently, in India, if the fetus is found to be female, it is followed by MTP. This is discrimination between the male and the female. This is totally against what is legal. MTP can only be performed when the continual development of the fetus could be either fatal for the mother or the child, or during cases of unprotected sex, or during sexual assaults only, or with other some strict conditions. not because the female child being discriminated against. This is totally what we call illegal, against what is legal. Such practices should be avoided because these are dangerous for both the young mother and the fetus. Effective counseling to avoid this kind of female feticide, effective counseling on the need to avoid unprotected coitus and the risk factors involved in illegal abortions, as well as providing more healthcare facilities, could reserve the mentioned unhealthy trend. Which is nothing but spreading awareness, and this is why the government focuses on people's education. Sexually transmitted infections, which we call STIs. Infections or diseases which are transmitted through sexual intercourse are collectively named sexually transmitted infections. STI or venereal diseases. We can either call them STI or venereal diseases, or reproductive tract infections, which can be STI, VT, venereal diseases, or reproductive tract infections of RTI. Gonorrhea, syphilis, genital herpes, chlamydiasis, genital warts, trichomoniasis, hepatitis B, and of course the most discussed infection in the recent years of the human immunovirus leading to AIDS. Acute disorder syndrome. HIV infection is most dangerous and is discussed in detail in the chapter 7, Human Health and Disease chapter. The NCERT specified that HIV infection is the most dangerous, so remember that. Among these diseases, HIV, AIDS, hepatitis B, except these two diseases of AIDS caused by HIV and hepatitis B, everything else is somewhat curable, but still now we did not find, we could not cure, there is a less chance of curing AIDS and hepatitis B. Some of these infections like hepatitis B and HIV can also be transmitted by sharing injected needles, surgical instruments, etc. With infected person, this is the reason where we go to a barber shop, you asked for a trimmer instead of the blade, because it is a practice to avoid cost of new blades. The person will reuse the same blade for every person, which if a person having AIDS had some blood on the blade, it can be transmitted. This is the reason you ask for a trimmer instead of blades in barber shops, because hepatitis B and AIDS can be transmitted by sharing injection needles, surgical instruments, etc. With infected person, transfusion of blood, nothing but mixing of the blood. If the infected person blood mixed with a normal person's blood, the normal person will get infected. Or normal form of an infected mother to fetus too. If the mother is infected, there is a high chance that even the fetus will get infected because of these diseases. Except for hepatitis B, genital herpes, and HIV infections and other diseases are completely curable if detected early and treated, except for hepatitis B, genital herpes, and AIDS. Other diseases are completely curable, that is, if detected early and treated properly. Early symptoms of minor most of these are for most of these diseases, early symptoms are minor and include itching, fluid discharge, slight pain, swellings, etc. In the genital region, this minor and include itching, fluid discharge, slight pain, swellings. This is seen in the genital region. Infected females may often be asymptomatic, means they don't see. Females may often not see any symptoms at all and hence may remain undetected for long. As I said before, most of these diseases except these three are completely curable if detected early, but this kind of minor symptoms and females being asymptomatic may lead to development of the disease, which may lead to other severe effects. Absence or less significant symptoms in the early stages of the infection and social stigma attached to the STIs deter the infected persons from going for timely detection and proper treatment. Because if the person, because of less symptoms and even in the early stages, and due to some social stigma like social attachment, social beliefs, etc., to STIs, social myths, they don't go to the hospital even if they find some symptoms and believe it might be somewhere close to STI, or if they don't find any symptoms at all or less significant symptoms, they don't go to the hospital for proper treatment. This will lead to development of the disease and make it more severe. This could lead to complications later, which would induce pelvic inflammatory diseases, which we call PID, abortion, stillbirth, ectopic pregnancy. Ectopic pregnancy is nothing but where if this is a fallopian tube, the fertilization takes place here, and instead of after fertilization, this zygote or embryo, instead of going into the uterus, will stay here and develop in the fallopian tube, which is very, very dangerous and could be fatal too. Infertility or even cancer. These, whatever we read of the ectopic pregnancy, stillbirth, abortion, pelvic inflammatory diseases, etc., which are the complication which will happen due to these STIs. And there is even a chance of cancer of the reproductive tract. STIs are a major threat to a healthy society. Therefore, prevention or early detection and cure for these diseases are given prime consideration under reproductive health care programs. Though all persons are vulnerable to these infections, their incidences are reported to be very high among the age group of 15 to 24 years, the age group which the people who are studying 12th class right now belong to. There is no reason to panic because prevention is possible. One could be free of these infections by following the simple principles given below. Avoid sex with unknown and multiple partners. Always try to use condoms during coitus. As we said before, condoms prevent sexually transmitted diseases. In case of doubt, one should go. If you see any minor symptoms, do not be affected by myths and go to a qualified doctor for early detection and get completely treatment if diagnosed with infection. In this next topic after STIs is infertility. Infertility, a discussion on reproductive health, is incomplete without a mention of infertility. We can define infertility is lack of pregnancy even after 2 years of unprotected sex between the partners. 2 years of unprotected sex between the partners not leading to a pregnancy, we call the couple as an infertile couple. A large number of couples all over the world, including India, are infertile. That is, they're unable to produce children in spite of unprotected sexual cohabitation. The reasons for this could be mainly physical congenital diseases. There's the physical congenital meaning some problems with the reproductive system, diseases, disorders, drugs, usage of drugs, immunological or even psychological. In India, often the female is blamed for the couple being childless. But this is not true. The problem may lie in either the male partner or the female partner, depending on the situation, or even both. Specialized healthcare units, infertility clinics, etc., could help in diagnosis and corrective treatment of some of these disorders and enable these couples to have children. However, where such corrections are not possible, the couples could be assisted to have children through certain special techniques commonly known as assisted reproductive technology, ART. Basically, this infertility may be due to physical congenital, meaning problems with the reproductive organs, diseases, drugs, immunological or even psychological problems, and these problems, if treated normally, could lead to fertility. But if not, if the couple cannot be treated of infertility, they can opt for ART, assisted reproductive technology. Of the assisted reproductive technologies, ART, one of the method, there are two kinds of method. One is in vitro fertilization. Fertilization meaning fusion of gametes. In vitro meaning lab, in laboratories. And vivo, inside the body or body. Mainly consists of in vitro fertilization and in vivo fertilization. The two main categories under ART are in vitro, meaning fertilization in the lab, or in vivo, fertilization in the body. In vitro fertilization, IVF fertilization outside the body is almost similar conditions as that in body. The fertilization takes place in a condition, in an environment similar to that of inside the body, followed by embryo transfer, ET. In one such method, in this method popularly known as test tube baby program, ova from wife or donor female and sperms from the husband or donor male are collected and are induced to form zygote under simulated laboratory conditions The zygote or early embryos with up to 8 blastomeres could then be transferred into the fallopian tube, which is called the ZIFT, zygote intrafallopian transfer. And embryos with more than 8 blastomeres into the uterus, IUT, intrauterine transfer, to complete its further development. One of the methods under ART is in vitro fertilization, and this in vitro fertilization is basically the taking the ova from the wife or donor female and sperm from the husband or donor male are fertilized in the laboratory under simulated body conditions, so that the zygote is transferred into the fallopian tube with up to 8 blastomeres, which is called ZIFT, or IUT if it has more than 8 blastomeres or became a blastocyst, which will be transferred into the uterus, which is called IUT, intrauterine transfer. This embryo transfer is called ET. This is one of the method, and the second method, embryos formed by in vivo fertilization, fusion of gametes within the female, also could be used for such transfer to assist those females who cannot conceive. Basically, transfer of ovum collected from a donor in the fallopian tube, GIFT, gamete intrafallopian transfer of another female who cannot produce one, but can provide suitable environment for fertilization, and further development is another method attempted. Basically, a woman who cannot produce the ovum due to other issues but can provide an environment safe for development of the embryo after fertilization, can take the ovum from another female who can produce one from a donor, and this ovum is transferred, which is called transferred into the fallopian tube, which is what we call gamete intrafallopian transfer, or GIFT. The next one under in vivo fertilization is intracytoplasmic sperm injection. This is when the male cannot produce the sperm, the husband cannot produce the sperm, then the sperm from the donor will be injected directly into the ovum through a microinjection procedure to form an embryo in the laboratory, in which a sperm is directly injected into the ovum. In fertility cases, either due to inability of male partner to inseminate the female, or due to very low sperm counts in the ejaculations, could be corrected by artificial insemination, AI technique. In this technique, the semen could either come from the husband, or a healthy donor is artificially introduced either into the vagina or into the uterus. IUI, intrauterine insemination, which is under the artificial insemination techniques, AI technique. Though options are many, all these techniques require extremely high precision handled by specialized professionals and are extremely expensive. Therefore, extremely expensive instrumentation. They need really high-tech instruments as well as specialized professionals, leading to high cost for the implementation of the technique. Therefore, these facilities are presently available only in very few centers in the country. Obviously, their benefits is affordable to only a limited number of people because of the high cost. Emotional, religious, and social factors are also deterrent in the adoption of these methods. Since the ultimate aim of all these procedures is to have children, in India we have so many orphaned and destitute children who could probably not survive till maturity unless taken care of. Our law permits legal adoption and it is as yet one of the best methods for couples looking for parents. For couples looking for parenthood. This is the end of the chapter. There is a summary, but I will not be doing the summary. This is the end of the chapter, Reproductive Health.